pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
You see that post with John Malachite didn't say
Ready?
that.
Ready?
Open our public meeting. So first thing on the agenda tonight is to do our second public meeting for the town of Rockville to apply for a grant through the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs for their water system based on a PER that was done through DES. So the first hearing, we did that already, so this is the second prior to application, which will be December 22nd. The activities taking place in that project. I'm just gonna kind of number these, but we'll give chance, opportunity for questions. So part of the project will include some repairs, such as sandblasting, priming, repainting, to address some rust conditions at the well and pump houses. Some work at the treatment plant for the moisture control system, as well as some new lighting and a backup generator. Work at the chlorination station, again, addressing some deteriorating parts within that system. Some electronics, the supervisory control and data acquisition system will be replaced as it doesn't have the capacity to be updated. Doing some water valve replacement, water line replacement, fire hydrant replacement, and water meter pit replacements. Just the highlights, I guess, of what that project entails. Been working with Jeff and the engineer to ensure that we're addressing the most critical issues for the town. We also did a survey of the town water customers to understand the frequency of issues such as water pressure loss, interruptions of service, boil orders, those types of items. So we are here to answer your questions or comments or support for this project. If anybody would be so inclined, if you know someone that's experienced issues and would be supportive of this project, we are looking for letters of support that we can submit with our application. All good? Jeff, you have any comments?
I think it's a fabulous project. Even it's done.
So you, the generator was movable, now it's permanent, right? The generator down there.
Right, so we found to be an eligible item for the OKRA grant. It
Okay.
must be a fixed generator, not a mobile generator.
You know, maybe, I don't think the response was very good, was the last time we requested letters from the community. And in that meeting I was with you the other day, pressure's the only thing I've noticed, and you're out there. You ever notice any pressure issue at your house out there? You're right across the street.
Yeah, I mean, here and there, I mean.
But, you know,
yes,
could there be a list of questions, you know, like, well, have you noticed this or this, to help people
Well, that's what we did
think?
on the survey,
You did?
yes.
Okay.
Sure will.
I did not. Yeah.
I didn't get
Ah,
survey
did
either.
you hear that?
Well, you know, it's there's a lot to do today, I guess. But yeah. So when do we have to have those letters in again?
I would need them, preferably like December 15th.
Okay. Yeah, having a little guidance on what to think about helps.
Well, we talked about things like pressure, loss, water loss, just if, you know, had to be shut off if there's a break in a line, they had to shut the water off. You went X number
Well, you know,
of hours.
a question I didn't get a chance to ask yesterday before I left that meeting was the amount of loss we have in a water system. Does that have any point value to the overall scoring
No.
process? No?
So the water loss audit is a part of the explanation as to why
Okay.
the lines need to be replaced and specifically.
But it
the
doesn't
one
score
main
any.
line. It doesn't count in points because you had a poor score.
Yeah.
the only way that we can use a water loss audit score is to show a baseline of where you are, and as a measurable outcome, what you want it to be when things are fixed.
Okay.
I will have a couple of additional letters to submit to you as well as pictures. So I was able to come up with some more photos for you, so I'll get those to you this week.
Fabulous. Because that's very important. They really, I mean, for Okra dollars, which come from HUD, to help communities that have a, higher percentage of low to moderate income residents, we need to show community support and need for this project and for it to be successful in getting awarded. So it's very important that if you have an experience, if you just, as an example, yeah, I've had some water loss issues, I'd really like to see the town fix it, and I support their,
Pressures based off how good the lines are?
well, I'm not the technical person to answer that question, but,
You get where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
I mean, you've done that for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's what I would ask is how you justify, to me, how water lines make the pressure any better or any worse.
so there's so many components to this project. So breaks in lines,
So, okay, so
to
it's
just
due
really
to
simplify it.
breaking.
Well, what's our water loss percentage? I can't remember. Is it 15, 18, or?
Yeah, it's pretty high. I
Yeah,
think
we
it's
lose
20,
a amazing amount of water.
about
It's either 20.
to 22%, I think,
Yeah.
if I remember.
From the
off
well
top of my head.
field to what we
Yeah.
bill, we're losing almost 25% of the total water.
Leakage.
Yep.
Gotcha. That's why I was asking that, so, makes sense.
I wonder if anybody in the Bumgarner's apartments, I know that has been a big,
Yeah, in our office, it used to be a gym, it has 2 showers, and there's not enough pressure to be able to use the showers there. I mean, not that we would, but there's not pressure there.
we'll
So,
write a letter.
Sediment lines fall under that too.
Yes, discoloration, sediment, loss,
Okay.
I'm trying to think how we worded that question, Jeff. It was
Hard
sediment, discoloration,
Yeah,
and
cloudiness,
Like when you
Was
take
it
your aerator off and
odor?
all those rocks
odor.
come
That
out.
was the other part of that, yes.
So the project's gonna help with hard water also, in other words.
not
That's what
hard
you're
water
describing.
necessarily. no.
Sediment and stuff is what causes
Well-
water to be hard.
Well, sediment in the sense that if you have a line underground that's opened, cracked, and dirt and such is getting in and flowing through into your home.
Yep.
What about pictures of the old line? I've got those, the repair we did in front of 36.
I've got a couple of those from Jeff of that
Did we send you
particular
those,
one.
Jeff? I
I've
can't
got
remember if we
'em.
sent those to you or not.
Yeah,
Okay.
you did.
Yeah, photos, they love pictures, just because it tells the story quickly.
You don't have to read.
Yeah, you don't have to read.
And, we've learned with this round of applications through Okra, again, just staffing changes, things that they look at change. I mean, we really gotta do a good job of, if you are a person that just skims when you read, things that are gonna pop out to them and show that there's a need quickly. So referencing photographs is a really quick way to do that. Any other comments, anything you want to share with the town? If you could help with community support letters, which is fantastic. We do have a letter from the fire department. We will be asking Dave as town council president to do a letter for the town indicating it's a priority project for you. But if there's any other groups that would be interested in showing their support, it would be very helpful.
You think Bradwood maybe is owner of the apartment?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, anybody owning property, any user of water.
Where we give this to Brandy?
Yeah, if you could get this to Brandy, that'd probably be the easiest for everybody, and then she'll give it to me. And if you do a letter, you can address it either to the town or to our grant agency that we're going through. Again, it's OCRA is the acronym. for the Office of Community Affairs. All right, you wanna close that then?
Okay, thanks, Cindy.
You're welcome.
We'll close the public hearing. If there's no comments or questions,
We gotta find the signage.
all right. Well, let's open our regular meeting. Bill, you're up.
Well, we filed paperwork on 910 Howard, reference to the trash that was blowing everywhere, and I guess it's been a problem for a while. We're in the process of working on getting a rifle that was taken out of a case where they weren't allowed to have that rifle, so we'll need one less rifle after we get all that paperwork finished. Other than that, I don't really have anything other than, I think, when Park brings up about the salary.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you. Are you ready, Brandy?
Just have a copy of claims in the amount of $288,406.78 for approval. Any questions?
Well, I don't see anything out of the ordinary. See, our light bill was 147,000 change. I don't, really not much else going on in here. It's typical stuff. So I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The only other thing I have are 2 sets of adjustments. There are explanations on each one of those. There's one for 8261 and one for 472323. There's customer name and descriptions or receipts
What was the big one
to
all
go
about?
along.
Just a bunch of
There were a
adjustments,
couple of really huge water losses there.
leaks. I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
That's all I have to. Did you want these to go ahead and bring up?
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up. You don't have to do anything yet.
Okay.
I got it up here.
Are you ready then, Nick?
Yeah, I can go. They have 2 notices we're gonna run in the paper, and I talked with Brandy about that, and she's gonna take care of them, have them ran. But for the sale of town-owned property, so one would be 304 Howard Avenue. That's the empty lot that sits there close to the school that the town owns. Asking starting bid price of $25,000. Bids are due prior to the meeting, December 16th. Or December 19th, I'm sorry. So they'll be open at the December 19th meeting. Highest bid would have received the property, I would assume. We're not required to accept any bids, though. But those are running the paper. And then 402 South Jefferson Street, which is down by RPD, kind of, catty corner from it. Asking $11,750 minimum bid. Also being open the same day.
So how are we advertising this?
It's gonna be ran in the paper.
The local?
Yeah, local paper is what we have it set up for. I know there's been a number of people already asked about both properties, so.
Okay.
So there is some interest from the public.
So I assume we'll receipt the money, well, assuming we sell, receipt the money back in the general fund, that seems to make sense, yeah.
We talked about the property on Howard since it was under the park to go back to the park.
Well, the money didn't come from the park, but we gave the ground to the park. So, yeah, I don't know, we could, I mean, I think the park could certainly use the proceeds. So, yeah, I'm okay with that too.
Awesome.
So put the Howard in park and put the Jefferson in, back in the gym?
So bids will be due before that December 19th meeting. They'll be opened at the meeting, and highest bidder wins. So I would say that Howard Avenue property has gone through the quiet title process, so it is clean title, whereas the South Jefferson is a tax deed that we have from the county. So there is a difference between the two of them. But in the notice, it states that we make no warranties as to title whatsoever. So whoever buys it is as is.
So the minimum purchase price is what we're posting.
You have to at least bid 25 on Howard
Okay.
Avenue, and you have to at least bid 11,750. Otherwise, don't bother bidding.
Okay.
Is how it's run. So highest bid would receive it, though. That's all. We've had some ordinance cases that have gotten settled, and Bill did mention the newest one, the 910 Howard Avenue. I actually have a court on a repeat offender for burning trash in town tomorrow. And like we talked about the last meeting, please just don't burn your trash in town. I don't want to be the trash police, and neither is RPD. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Nick. Jeff?
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Steve Smith. He's with Indiana H2O. And he's gonna talk to us kind of briefly about the Indiana lead and copper rule that's coming into place and, what their organization could possibly do to kind of help us out on that process.
All right, so
Steve?
to give you guys some background, there's a whole Clean Water Act that's been in force for 30 years. In December of last year, they passed new revisions to that. So that's lead copper rule revisions. It was passed last December. They said that every utility in the country has to produce a service line inventory to the meter and identifying past the meter.
And this came from federal down to state
Down the state.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is gonna go EPA to IDEM
to us.
to us. So I'm gonna work from you guys up.
Okay,
So what it means to you guys have to identify the whole service line on both sides,
okay,
which is gonna be a pain in the behind, because records aren't great. You usually didn't do anything on the customer side. So let's just put that out there. And then they're not looking to see whether you have lead or galvanized or copper or whatever. They want it identified by September 16 of 24. And if you have lead or galvanized downstream that has ever been downstream from lead on either side, it's gonna have to be replaced.
and how are we supposed to pay for it?
They don't.
If we're gonna get there in a second.
Did they put any funding in with this?
They actually put a whole bunch of funding.
Really? Well, that's nice.
So, and this is gonna go back and forth, so keep jumping in, because I don't wanna bore anybody, but they passed it in December.
Yes.
They gave guidelines in August. There's actually $15 billion over the course of the next 5 years.
Is it
So-
competitive or?
I would,
Hang on, Mark.
Just wait.
so there's 3 billion a year every year.
Okay.
Indiana got $140 million, but it's gonna be split between emerging contaminants, PFAS, PFOS, all the P stuff that's coming, and then actual water work like this. So there's 40 million just for this year. Now that, of what they got, they can move that up and down each year, so there could be even more money. So the state has put it out that above 47,000 in median income will go through SRF and will have to be repaid.
Oh,
But if you're below 47,000 in median income,
in other words, have to borrow money to fix it.
More below, more below.
you're below 47,
We are? I thought we were 50.
Cindy's nodding.
No, we're 53. Yeah.
then you guys can massage that and get it down to 47, but that's, this is a small town meeting.
Okay.
Forget the
But
raises.
there's gonna be, below that's gonna be grant, and again, that can move too.
Yeah.
So, there's money, how you guys get it, it's gonna be all SRF funds,
Well, we're anti-debt out here for the most part, so
right?
if we're going to do it, we're not going to do it with debt. Tell the federal, tell who is it, EPA that?
Well, I'm sure they'll be. The challenge is
You
this-
hear me, E EPA?
The challenge is this is all coming down, and EPA puts out stuff, no, it doesn't get down here. IDEM still hasn't given you guys clear direction.
Yeah.
So what we're doing, and here's some examples, I brought a bunch, you guys just kind of pass them around, of who we are and what we do to help you guys out with this. So this, first page is a list of customers, second page, a list of people I'm talking to. So in Indiana, I talk to populations 25K and below, trying to get them started on this, because we're less than 2 years away from completing it. So what our software does, and just take a second to look through them, because we've got customers all over the state. So what's really interesting is it started 3 years ago with the really big ones. Fort Wayne, Lawrence, Carmel, Citizens. Last couple of years, it's gotten smaller. You'll see mid-tier ones at about 10 to 15,000 connections. And now it's getting down to you guys because it's becoming real. I mean, you guys have to do something. You've got 2 years to do it. So I'm meeting with anybody, anywhere, anytime that I can, just because everybody's at a different spot and everybody has different challenges. So, yeah, Jeff kind of knows what's going on. And I met with UMAC, and I've talked to Troy, and Jeff talked to Troy too. And I met with Troy specifically about this, because it's a lot to do. They're managing it, but they don't have the resources to do it, and that's what we do. Our software helps you identify every record that you have, whether you have a lot or a little. We build a map of the program, the whole system, and then help you guys identify the unknowns pushing toward the 10/16/24. But once you have a preliminary inventory, an engineering report in the first 3 or 4 months, you can then be in a position to at least apply for the funds, whether they're free or they're borrowed or whatever. But if you don't have this initial report that we can produce, you can't get in line for any money.
So how do you fit into this? You said we need to get a PER.
No,
He didn't
No.
say that.
no,
Okay.
no. We're a software firm based in Zionsville who provides software to do this. It's between you guys and us. There's no state funding or anything else in what we're working on.
Okay. Okay. So basically, your software, we just put the data in your software. Okay.
And then we use our expertise to help you guys find the other ones. And what we're predicting is there's gonna be a whole bunch of lead in the town, a bunch of galvanites. And our software is proactive. We can actually predict how much you would have, so it's easier to go to SRF for any kind of money that you get.
Again, you're talking debt. Well, yeah, I don't like anything that forces towns to take on debt. I don't care. But,
Well, let's talk about this. So between now and
get fired
24,
up, Lee.
you don't have to take on anything.
Well, yeah, I understand.
But-
Well, anyway, I don't know why you would say we'd potentially have a lot of lead. I mean,
Well, I've talked to the people that run your system.
historically, you see, well,
Let's say potential lead.
potential. I like that better. So galvanized too.
If it's downstream from lead.
Well, if it's downstream. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So if you have a lead main and you have any galvanized system, it's all going to be lead. It will all eventually have to be. Now, unless you guys have an exceedance, there's a whole bunch that kicks in after 24. The whole idea is to get you there with as much information as possible so that you can decide what to do or what you're going to be forced to do after that.
The word force comes in again. Yeah, okay. I don't like big government. I think you figured that out already. Yeah.
They're low.
So your soft, what's your part of this going to cost us?
Jeff's got the quote. It's about $16,000 a year for 2 years.
Okay.
I came to more as information. I mean, Jeff's got pricing and
Yeah.
things like that, but I'm not really
Yeah.
pushing pricing. But
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just curious. When we got to factor that into our budget, we're about ready to set a budget for next year. Is it easy to use?
it's very easy.
Okay, that's good.
I mean, if just going back to that, you'll see our smallest system's Rising Sun on the other side of the state. We've got about 500 connections, and we can go all the way up. So we tailor it to whatever you guys need, but it's software as a service. It's SaaS. You log in, you put the information in, we help you. Well, and there's the other thing that's going to be really important, and you guys don't have that much of it, is anything that is new build or a new tap after 1988 can be ruled out off the top. So we'll go through, we'll find the county records, we'll pull that into the database. We'll work with Jeff and UMAC and find any other records you guys have, start building a picture of the system, and then we guide you through the rest of the program.
So do you guys actually enter all the data, or you just teach us how to enter the
A
data?
little bit of both, depending on the status of the data. If it's what's called like tap cards of records and things like that, we can scan them and put them in. It all depends on where you guys are and what needs to be done. So I talk a lot about inventory. We have communications, we have the scanning, we have all kinds of things we can do. We can do additional testing, because we do our own testing if you guys need it. We can do a lot of things, but right now I just want to introduce the idea of service line inventory, because that's what's due by 24. After that, we need to do whatever.
So it's called seriously.
So do we have that information, Jeff?
Yeah, not in this particular packet. I wanted to introduce it, and we can take a look at the funding and the costs as we move into the budgetary process.
I mean, I've put in a lot of water lines in this town, but I can't sit here and tell you I've done what ones I've done.
Yeah.
But I know they were all plastic.
But with the EPA, if there's any kind of record like that, it's gonna count. And even if you put in some here and could prove it, the picture that you get, you'll know where you don't know anything.
Well, that's my point. How are we gonna prove it? I mean,
That's what we gotta dig into and find out. But any kind of written record of any kind will count. Doesn't matter age, doesn't matter anything. So we're gonna use as-built, maps, everything for your side. Just anything you can find, but that's what this first meeting does, is start looking at anything, start thinking about things that have happened in the past. You know, put together whatever you can, and then we work with that to get that preliminary inventory, then you really know what happens after that.
And they haven't set any kind of a remediation timeline after 24, have they?
It gets really complicated, because there's all kinds of things that kick in after 24, but if you guys cannot have an exceedance, which is the 10 parts per billion or up, you're gonna be okay, and you're gonna have some smaller portion. And they're talking about 3% a year for 30 years to finally get it all out. We don't know yet, but that's what's being discussed. And again, that's post 24. Right now, it's just putting it together to see what you guys are gonna face, so you can budget correctly.
Yeah, I guess they don't have a timeline on how fast we have to fix. Well, it sounds like fun. So, when do we start?
Yeah, why don't we, take a look at the quote specifically?
Yeah.
At our next meeting.
Okay.
And then we can see how we work it into the budget, and, we can let you know.
And we're local, I mean, we're Zionsville.
Yep.
I mean, if you guys have to push it, we're willing to start because we want people to do this, and you're a public entity.
Yeah.
If you
Oh, we
agree-
have to get it going. I mean, we have lead lines. We obviously have to do something about it.
But you just have a few.
Well, let's hope.
Maybe none, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. One more thing to figure out. Okay. Well, do you have the quote?
Yeah, not
Yeah.
with this packet. though.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll send you some more information. I just wanted to get your feel on it. If there's any questions before you guys meet next or talk about this next and say, Steve, can you provide us this or anything else, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
It's just getting people in front of people like this. And I'm going to the other side of the state for another board meeting tomorrow. It's got to get to this level because these guys are overworked anyway.
So may I ask, these are your current customers, so you've already started working with these
Yes.
particular
Yes.
towns?
And then if you flip the page, anybody you see with a 4 is pending working with us also.
Okay.
And that actually came from the Alliance of Rural Water here in Indiana, which runs the rural system, and we work really closely with them. This was their presentation, I stole it.
Okay.
And-
I noticed there's just a couple on there that I work pretty closely with currently. So I just, thought if they were already current customers, and they may have some insight that may be helpful getting
Yep.
started,
Hmm?
so,
The challenge is, depending on the age of it, a lot of them are still in the discovery phase.
sure.
But they're gonna agree that we're very, very, very helpful and really, really, really easy to work with.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank
just curious, off the list, who are you talking about?
Well, I'm actually from Brazil, and I
Okay.
went to school with their office group there, so
Yep.
I work on,
Brazil's, I think, is about 8 months in,
okay.
so they should have their preliminary and things like that, but if there's
Yeah.
anybody else in there.
Just somebody that's,
Right.
already in the midst of working, so they may have some ideas or some helpful.
Well, but the other thing is we're gonna pull from them already and help
Right.
you because we have experience. Or
Right.
The other thing is we're in 40 states and we have 450 customers.
Mm-hmm.
We have a tremendous amount of information we can bring. So you can talk to them and get things, but we can also bring things from,
Right,
and more your size too, because Brazil's a little bit bigger.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Yep, cool. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, hey, thanks for coming out.
Appreciate it.
The upside is, I guess, we could end up replacing a lot of wire lines. Might start a loss. Help it.
And that may be discovered as we get into this too. But
Yeah, but how in the world are you gonna figure out what you have?
I know,
That's,
it's,
who's gonna do that?
a lot of it's gonna be,
Well, we have
Wire
we have a
lines, yes.
vacuum truck. You can go down to the line.
and you can go on the other side of the meter pit, and you can verify, 2 feet out that it's PVC or
Galvanized or,
whatever it may be. Now, it's pretty time consuming,
well,
but I think what you do is you get random samples, if I understand it correctly.
you get one neighborhood, everybody's gonna be the same pretty much.
Yeah, unless there's been new construction or something like that.
Or
then
they
you
have to
can-
prove otherwise.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Anything with
Pain
ideas is
in
always
the
a joy.
I know. Love ideas, I really do.
It's always pleasant.
Say something nice.
nothing I'm aware of.
Right.
Nothing.
Have them prove they do have lead.
Yeah, put it back on this. It's gonna turn.
Shit, who knows? Who knows what we'll find? That's the thing.
Yeah, I didn't like this.
Old part of town.
Yep.
Some of the older neighborhoods probably do.
So moving forward on the agenda,
Yes.
pending closeout on 2022-1, like to get that done as soon as I can get some invoices and cancel checks. CMG 2022, the award date on that is December 6th, so we'll know at about 10 o'clock if our application for North Michigan is submitted or approved. IMPA, the 3-phase extension is pending the tree removal. I do have a quote from Columns And I'm waiting for one, I haven't got it yet, from
Veterans.
Veterans without the cleanup. Oh, wait a minute, here it is. Without the cleanup, with the cleanup it's like $5,000, and so I had both columns and them do it without, and I'll be doggone. 2,200 is the
Oh my gosh.
quote from Veterans also.
For how many trees?
One,
Just the one tree,
one big one.
one
Big.
huge one.
Big.
Yeah. So, if we want to decide on that, I mean, flip a coin, whoever you'd like to.
What were the
work
amounts
with.
again?
2,200?
Each.
No cleanup, that's us doing all the cleanup.
Oh dear. They were
Jim.
both the same.
How much you got?
Call that guy that I sent you this contact information for,
No.
because he's really, really reasonable.
You want me to get one from him
Well,
too?
I mean, how soon do we want this thing to get going? I mean, how many quotes did you get? 2, 3?
I got 2.
They're both same.
I can try the third, it ain't gonna hurt anything.
Okay, we want to.
All right, we'll do that. Let's see, Matt Collum also gave me a quote on using his excavator to mow down the hillsides over at the
Well, let's go
wastewater
back here.
treatment
But,
plant.
well, shoot, we already got the diamond mats out in the public meeting.
The what?
We just
Oh, shoot.
we just talked about the amounts.
Yeah, but
in
he's,
public.
whoever it is never gonna.
Oh.
But let me put it this way: so we don't hold the thing up anymore. If it comes in below that, go with this particular individual. If it doesn't, we go with the one we have a history with, which I think would be veterans, I guess. But yeah, we don't need to wait 2, 3 more weeks for you to get a
Well,
go.
and that may be a factor in it too, because trying to, maybe I get who can be here the soonest.
Well, it could be.
Maybe
But yeah,
that's our
I mean, what do you
default
guys
between
think?
the
I
two
just hate to
quotes.
sit here,
Yeah.
hold it up any longer than we have to.
I got you.
Okay.
Oh, Matt had a quote also for cleaning up the hillside, and it was $7,000.
Hillside.
Wastewater treatment
Wastewater.
plant, knocking down all that debris and stuff on the hillside.
Is there riprap under that?
Yes,
Oh God.
yes.
So how's he gonna knock it down?
He's got his excavator with a mulching cutting type head on it that
Okay.
he's seen. He'll pull up next to it and reach up as far as he can and then get on the other side.
So
Reach
can I
down as far as he
are we allowed to use crossbow and Roundup in that
Yeah,
particular
I
area?
have. I've killed off a lot of it.
That would
but
help
it just
maintain
needs,
it.
it just needs.
Yeah, it
knocked
needs
down. And,
yeah.
and then I can stay on it with the crossbow and
Okay.
so, I don't know if you want to approve that one or not while we're at it.
Well, we need to do it, don't we?
Do
Is
you
it
wanna
on there?
table it until,
Am I gonna see it?
I've got the quote here.
Okay, I just need the paperwork.
Yep.
I don't see it.
So it was 7 or 9?
Wait a minute.
7.
No, it was 7. The other one. Okay, I see.
Yeah, $7,000 for the mulching on the hillsides. And then cutting down the tree on 36 was 22.
Well, anybody else have any comment?
Are you referring to the pond out there?
No, we've already got the pond taken care of. We had a fellow do that for us.
What hillside are you talking about?
On the, up above where the clarifier tanks are, up above the building. Okay, we have the blowers, we have the clarifier tanks up there, and then down below is the actual, lab and, drying pits and, the building itself, the main building. So there's a hillside all the way around that booger.
I might wanna make a motion on that, unless somebody wants to come down there and start pulling weeds.
Well,
I'll make a
When
motion.
was the last time we did it?
I don't know if we've ever done it.
I don't think we
know.
have.
And we tried it, doing it with bush hogs, or not bush hogs, but weed eaters and loppers. I think maybe the first year I was here, we tried doing that, and, it's a leg breaker.
Well, yeah, you
an
can't
ankle
work
breaker.
on riprap very well.
Not it.
So basically, it's full of saplings and weeds,
Yeah.
right?
And it is
Straight
steep,
up and down.
so,
I made a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So you're gonna do that for year end?
yes. Right, relocation on South Market, info will be working on that too. Meeting reference, meter replacements will be on December 7th at noon with IMPA.
Remind me, the AIM, what's that stand for? AIM meeting?
Automated meter.
Yes, AMI, is it automated meter, AMI, or AMR, I don't know, whatever it is. Anyway,
So they're gonna talk to us a little bit about that. You know, I think we'll try to develop a plan, where we can look at replacing these over X number of years. Try to get a figure of how many we need to
yeah,
go
It
with
took
to get
us
that done.
several years to get them in the first time.
yeah, I know. Seems like we just did it.
Yep,
Well,
I think they have
10
about a
years
10-year
ago.
lifespan, so
nice.
Yeah,
about the time that you get them
done, we start over.
done, you start over at the beginning, so. Let's see,
What is our meter count in town?
18,
Did 1,800?
18, 15? 15 or 18.
Yeah, we saw that number somewhere today. But yeah, it's a bunch.
Yep. The electric department revised quote from Wellbridge, shared that with you via email also. It was salty, it was $60,092. I did have a quote also for QNAP poles, were a different type of poles as far as treatment goes. They were cheaper by about 10K, but here's the thing, they can't deliver, or they can't guarantee delivery date, and they can also not guarantee the price. So we could be in the same situation, I order these things, and then they come back 3 weeks later and say, oh, well, we bumped them up to Y amount again.
Where were we?
There's also material missing on the other quote though, right?
Yeah, they were 2 poles shy, so one of each less than what we have on the annexed quote, or on the
Yeah.
Wellbridge quote.
Yeah.
As far as quantity goes.
Where were we originally before the prices?
Oh, jeez, it was
40?
about $400 a pole.
Yeah.
You know, 300, 400 bucks a pole, and now you're up into 800, 900 bucks a pole. So I mean, it's just gone.
Are they locking this price in at 60?
The guarantee for the 60,000 is in writing. I do have that in writing as a guarantee.
Make a motion, we go with that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
It's not waiting longer.
No. Probably nothing's going down for a while.
Cindy talked about the water improvement project, 41 North Sewer. There's no movement on that. I checked with Brian Hood again today. He says stay the course.
So he, yeah, I read those emails, Jeff, and he indicated they thought they might get some of the line that they're going to bore by mid December.
Yes, and possibly start doing some of the boring in January.
So technically, we could give a notice to proceed in
Possibly in December. Yep. I'll keep you posted on that. South Market, we had our local quarterly meeting with NDOT. We're good there. Utility coordination continues. We've noticed proceeds for Bloomingdale Home Telephone and CenterPoint Energy. They're both clear to begin their utility coordination, or relocation rather. Jefferson Street project, still waiting on the punch list to be completed there, and line markings. Our charging station, Brett and Dan have got the conduit ordered. We're going to go ahead and do the one at the parking lot, because it may be a little while before Ronnie's able to get us a board over at the depot. And so we'll go ahead and we'll get the one started.
So I got a question over there now. You know, when you guys put in those parking bumpers on the south side of that lot, they're back off our line some, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not right up on.
So where's the station going to be relative to the bumpers?
Just on the outside toward the asphalt, toward the.
Okay. Or those bumpers, I mean, how far are they off?
Not
Really, not that much.
I mean, we left probably a good 2-3 feet from the property line, maybe even a little bit more from where those front bumpers are.
Okay, so there's a few feet there.
Yeah, we've got a little room to play with.
So we'll put a curb in there hopefully next year, I would assume right on the line.
Yeah.
And then the bumpers go in. Why, it just, I assume you'll factor into that where the curb would probably be and the however it all works out. Because we're pouring a pad to set those.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll probably put some bollards or stanchions up around them just to protect it a little bit. You know, so the car doesn't back into the.
And when do we
charging
start paying?
stations.
That's a lease
That's a
deal.
lease thing, and we're paying for this first year, so we wanna get it going.
Yeah,
And all we have to do is we have to lay the electric and, the pad, and then ChargePoint comes in and does the actual install of the unit itself and works with Brandy in her office to do the software thing.
was there actually a hard wire to
It's not hardwired, it's done by Wi-Fi,
okay, so it's Wi-Fi billing,
yes.
okay.
So we'll get that rolling.
Hopefully they have AT&T and not Verizon.
Yeah, he's on track.
Jackson Voorhees Beetle, we have, Rogers costs for the PER for storm and water. And, we didn't bring it up the last one, we briefly mentioned it, part because I don't think you were here at that one, so we let it ride. Want to get a little input.
Yeah, okay, Stormwater Board hasn't seen that, have they?
Yeah, no, I don't think they've seen it, but it has to do with the water and the, not the storm water,
The sewer,
the sewer and the drinking water, PERs. And
yeah,
in his work order agreement, Roger agrees to do videotape of the storm sewers on Beetle, Jackson, Voorhees, and also develop a PER for sanitary sewer and water for those two utilities also.
yeah, what was it, 70? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was about 80.
80?
Yeah.
Well,
81, 460, 61.
you know, the question that came up at Stormwater's last meeting was, do we want to create, you know, the whole new street, sub-base and everything without seriously looking at the sewers? It felt like we should investigate further. It's also discussed, do we want to spend that kind of money on a PER and videotape the sewers, or we just want to go ahead and plan on tearing them out and replacing them? So that's I open the floor to anyone who wants to talk about it. I mean, that's what we talked about, and that's why this quote is here.
I don't have any questions on it. I mean, I don't know what you.
Well, do you think that's a good investment to just go ahead and
Yeah,
video?
I mean, it's.
You know, the best case scenario would be, okay, they go and look at them, and maybe we can just do a cure in place as opposed to replacing, or maybe there's nothing needs to be done. We did some CIP on one of those lines a few years ago. But you hate putting down these street and sidewalks without having the sewers in good shape. So, I'll move.
Second.
All in favor?
What's your
Aye.
motion?
Oh, to
Have that.
proceed with Rogers preliminary engineer report. What was the amount on that, 81?
81 for,
81, 460, 61.
Can I have a copy of that, please?
Yes.
There's stormwater. Were you here when we set a stormwater meeting?
I saw it on the door November 30th.
Yeah, 7 p.m. Okay, so we're going to investigate the sewer lines. Does he have any, do you get any timeline on that?
For the PERs and stuff?
Yeah,
No.
well.
He's doing the PER for the whole project, though, right?
Yeah, he's done the PER for the stormwater and the road construction, curbs, gutters, sidewalks, and so this will be just slided in those components for the water and the sanitary sewer.
Okay, but it's gonna include all three streets, even though we're not gonna do them all at one project.
And I think when I remember talking to him, I think I asked him to break it down into the phases too. You know, for
Well, yeah,
looking at doing which section first, which section second, and possibly if there's a,
Yeah, the thoughts are
using the community crossings grant
using
for
community
the,
crossing, taking rescue funds, leverage that community crossing, because that would be a good way to leverage that money, and break it in two, so because $1 million cap on community crossing money a year. So you know, we can do a 25% match. We get 750,000 or 250 we put in. And right now, I think without the sewer would be in the sewer department, water, but for the street and sidewalks, which qualify community crossing, each street's about $1 million. And so we can leverage that money. We can get a lot of bang for a buck. And yeah.
UMAC. One of you guys got anything you want to talk about?
I don't, I just was feeling good today and thought I'd come.
Well, thanks for showing up.
We've still got some boring to do in Martin Street and some hydrant replacements. I'll get with.
We're gonna get on them pretty quick. Like I told you before, we got 1 4-foot hydrant. We ordered a 5, but I didn't know you guys already had ordered some for that, so we can get going on that.
Yep. I've
We
got,
got about 2 more months left to recover before they'll release me to do a whole lot.
the main thing is just take care of yourself.
And Dad just had surgery today, and his is minor, but he'll be back in 10 days, so
Good deal.
thanks for being patient with us.
Nada. Bruce, anything on your end with
No, the only thing, there's nothing really new going on out there. The only thing I did want to ask is, I talked to you about that regional sewer project.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I get involved with that and go to the meetings, and are you guys okay with that?
Sure.
Well, yeah, we're having selecting engineers Wednesday night.
Yeah, I talked to her about it. She
Okay.
asked me if I wanted to come.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure it's all right with you guys when I go to the.
You know, we're just kind of observers almost of town. We're not, see what they come up with.
Yeah, I just want to know what their plans are, or what's going to happen with it.
Well, yeah. It's interesting
Potentially, if
idea.
it actually happened, I would be affected by the end result.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I'd like to make sure they're headed the right direction and looking at the right things.
We'd like to see, well, the point is see what kind of flow there is, and all these different entities up there have to agree, and it's like herding cats right now, I think.
Oh, there's so
On
much.
Bloomingdale, never.
It's almost insane to even think about
Well,
what all's going to go into it. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
I just
But
wanna
yeah,
make
it's,
sure- okay.
so she told you the time's Wednesday night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
what time is it Wednesday night?
Oh,
6 o'clock.
yeah, that's for, and we're just
And we're
interviewing.
The first interview is at 6 o'clock. So.
Yeah, and this
Is
is,
that EOC.
yeah. It's just engineering, or interviewing 2 engineering firms to do a preliminary engineering report to determine the amount of flow that be coming from Bloomingdale, Turkey Run State Park, Turkey Run School, and the town of Marshall. They've tried this before to get a
Multiple
regional,
times.
and it didn't make it.
Bloomingdale won't get
They're trying to
involved.
look at it again, and of course, the theory is, well, can we bring it to Rockville? Of course, well, you can, but we're not gonna bear any cost of this. You'd have to cover your cost. So yeah, we're just kinda sitting there listening, but it is interesting.
It is, yeah. Triad actually showed up out at the plant last week. And,
Did they?
Yeah.
No, they're one of the 2 that we're interviewing. Weller, I think's the other, yeah. But yeah,
All right, still trying to get park lights up. Fast pace. Sewer, water, and electric are hooked up. I should have invoices for Brandy next week, so we can get those out. And that, folks, is all I have for the time being.
Jeff?
Thank you.
Jeff, I'm on the add real quick. You still need us for emergencies, call us, we can get it covered.
Yeah.
we're in their old business
Well,
now.
we've got one out the shop we gotta contend with.
Can I have
think it's
the
that
board?
big, say 10 inch.
Okay.
That's hard to say what it's on, I can't go.
Just being polite. What?
Doug's out.
That's right in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John says he thinks it's in the middle of the road, so I may be contacting you. All right, thank you.
Okay, under old business, I believe we've discussed our ordinance, the ordinance on here, 2013-6, goes back a ways. You know, it's an operation of carriages and so forth in the city limits of Rockville, and you know, given the complexity and questionable need for such ordinance, I make a motion to rescind this ordinance 2013-6.
Which one's that?
You second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Where am I at? Can I still have the floor?
Yeah, you still got
Why'd you tell me? Okay.
We'll let you know when you can.
All right, you'll tell me when
Yeah.
shut up. Oh, that's fine. Okay, here. You know, we when did we meet last week? Yeah. We had a budget workshop and we talked about the payroll matrices, and there's been a lot of work put in by just about everybody trying to get, hey Bill, this thing. The first thing is just a letter that kind of rationalized in my mind what we're doing, but after talking to one individual with the town, they said, yeah, can I use that? And I said, well, okay. Just to tell the employees what we're doing in their department. So that's what this is all about. But it kind of puts it together pretty good. Yeah, that's just kind of fluff there. But you go back to the actual payroll matrices. You know, the first one's the town utilities and the office staff. And I know about everybody's seen this multiple times last week trying to work out things. Then beyond that, that's 2-page, and you have the police, and then the last page is fire. So yeah, there it is. I guess questions, comments, concerns, changes. I think we've got most of that figured out. Josh isn't here, is he?
He was.
He came in.
Oh, hey Josh, I got
He's hiding.
here. I got this. I think I had 10 printed, just enough to try to cover everyone.
Didn't see you sneak in here.
I did.
Well, for one thing, you probably ought to explain how it works.
Okay. Well, yeah. You know, we modeled this after what the county's doing with their police department, town of Waterloo's doing with their whole city or town. Were two sources I looked at that had this kind of matrix. And you start off with a base rate. You know, what should the starting pay for any position in public safety and or office or utilities? And you go out and look at the market to figure out what that should be, and it becomes pretty apparent once you see what other places are hiring. So you go, say, for the utilities, you go in there and you look, and everybody has the same base rate. And that's critical because down the road, when we want to do, say, a 5% increase, you know, that's what we approve, and the department heads can decide whether or not that particular employee gets the whole amount, but it'll be applied to the base rate. You know, that's a nice and clean way to do it. And then that's what other entities are doing out there across the state. They use the base rate to apply a percentage increase. But then to that, we have all different types of call them premiums here. You know, you're a manager, a supervisor, a clerk, treasurer. You know, we have compensation based on that. If you have any college education, there's a table on there that shows compensation for college education. If you had any certification, be it lineman, you know, CDL, ERC, ADA, water distribution license, wastewater license, even put in pool operations, a certification for that, machine operator, road builder, road master builder, which I really like that name. And then even for military service, we're going to acknowledge military service and compensation. We thought that was pretty just an appropriate thing to do. And lastly, in that whole area where you can add additional compensation to yourself and value to your job, we have longevity pay now, or we're going to have, assuming we approve this, we will have longevity pay. You know, do note that for all departments, your certification will be recognized at the first of the following year. If you get certified in something in 2023, that additional pay will start at the beginning of the next year. We don't want to be changing the ordinance, because we have to prove the ordinance at the beginning of the year. And to keep going back and change, it could get quite time consuming. And let's do it once a year. And everybody needs to know that going in. And as far as education, you know, whether there was talk, associate's degrees, we valued that at $2,000 for an individual. And it's either that, if you have military service, you can get compensated $2,000, but we aren't doing both, it's one or the other. And education is not cumulative. If you have an undergraduate or master's, it doesn't add together. It's either this amount for undergrad or this amount for masters. Yeah, let's see, what else do we have? And we're going to stop the comp time. We've estimated based on what was paid out recently in comp time, and set up overtime amounts in the utilities, and then Josh and Bill came up with what they anticipate for overtime in their departments next year based on what they've been paying. So we'll do away with comp, and we'll be doing overtime for those departments. Now in fire and police, we have multiple certifications. There's all kinds of stuff you can get certified for, or I'm not sure how you say that, but. There was a question about how many do we allow them to obtain. Bill mentioned he doesn't want his officers, everybody getting trained in 5 of them in this and 5 of them in that. I mean, you don't need that. So it's up to the department head to see that we don't have everyone jumping in on the same certifications. We right now in the matrix, there's a cap of 10 allowed. There's been some concern about that, and Bill, I don't know. Do you think that should be a concern of allowing 10 or?
So a lot of these, like for instance, your instructor, you can't do that until you've had 3 years on the job.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see like chief school on there. There's only 2 people that are qualified to go to chief school. So there are some restrictions on some of those. Breath test, A-ride. Those are something that I think everybody should go.
Yeah, some of them make sense that everybody should
EMR,
have.
Everybody should go through. But a lot of those, I think, there should be no more than 2 people per cert. And what I mean by that is if I have 3 officers that want to be a defensive tactics instructor, the first 2 would get the credit for it. The third person, if they still wanted to go do it, they could go do it, but they would not get the additional raise for that because we've already got 2. Now, once the first person or second person that had that DT let it go, or they decided, hey, I'm retiring, then that person would then be eligible.
Yeah.
Because then they would be one of 2.
And I'd say both you and Ian, you've excluded yourself from overtime.
Yes.
I think Josh, you did the same for yourself there. Okay.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
You talked about a $2,000 premium, that was the number you gave, 2,000 for associate's degree.
Mm-hmm.
What about like trade schools? You could make the argument in today's America that spending 2 years on a college campus is negative.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Most trade schools give you an associate's degree now.
Is that right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would consider that to be an associate's. I would say to answer that question, and it sounds like that's the way it is. Josh, you
One
got
thing I would ask is for Bill and Josh to give the board a list of certifications that are must-haves, how many that you want. Just like we said, we want to basically cap off that, I mean, if you have 2 instructors, that's all you need. I mean, if everybody wants to get it, it's fine, but only the first 2 guys are getting paid.
You have that in my packet,
Okay.
it's already there.
I mean, that way we can keep an eye on it, keep focused on it, and there's no, a year from now, well, I did this, now I'm getting a $1,000 raise or whatever. I mean, we need to be able to look back and see who's doing it, and
Well, and those requests should come from Bill or Josh or Jim, from the department head, I would say, not from the
On our side of the fence,
individual.
a lot of the things that we have, you have prerequisites to get there.
right.
So, I mean, some of the stuff that we have on ours, it's gonna take some of our employees 5 to 6 years to even get to that point. So, we build it in that way on purpose. We wanna retain employees.
Well, the whole objective is create something that was objective based on market realities, and boy, it's amazing how rates have changed this in the last couple of years. But as I stated in a little letter on the front, I think this will establish us a very competitive in our local market, not just in the county, but surrounding counties, in all areas. we know what's been going on. We lose employees to competitors. We
Can't
have a hard
replace
time
them.
filling positions that come open, and we've got to stop that trend. It's been pretty hard on us this last year.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, yeah, we approved these matrices, and Brandy, her next step would be her to make it official in the ordinance. And I assume we can have that probably by the next meeting. And approve that.
Handbook has to be revised.
Handbook, yeah, there's a lot of stuff need to be done here, the contract with the water and the well, you know what it
UMAC.
is. No, with, the agreement for his compensation for inspector.
I guess my question is for the new hires. I wanted to make sure that the board was in agreement on this, that if we hire somebody that's got the academy, somebody that maybe is an FTO, they're gonna get that. I'd like to be able to tell them ahead of time that, yes, you're.
Well, yeah, if you have someone comes in, you should be able to look at this and they have these different certifications, you know, that would be their starting wage. But yeah, the handbook's gonna have to be updated. What else, Jeff?
Will those extras kick in at the higher date or at the beginning of the next year?
No, those are
If
kicking
they
higher.
if they have the academy and that would be at their start date. But going throughout the year, if they get certified in June for something, it will kick in January. So,
Man, or Brandy, you have any comments?
I really just wanted to comment mostly on the handbook. Josh and Bill, we've both talked. Jeff hasn't been in to have a conversation about this, but I would like to see moving forward that each one of their departments, and I'll take care of my office here, do their own revisions for approval to the council, and that sooner than later means that we're in the middle of November.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into February or March and we
Right.
don't have a complete handbook. I mean, we need to have that approved, ready to go, at least by our very first meeting of the year. I know Bill and Josh are both in agreement that they will take care of their departments and make sure that any of those revisions that are according to what you've
Was
approved
that
tonight
on a
take
disc?
place.
That's on a, can we get that on it's on a drive somewhere, right?
Well, yes, what they're gonna do, whether it be a revision or an addendum
Why?
to the handbook that,
Yeah, disc. Well, I go back to floppy disk day, okay?
but I just
way
don't,
back.
It will
That goes
not
way
be
back.
on a floppy disk.
Can we get it on, would that be cool?
Maybe you're out of line.
But,
We get on some of that black paper if you
Yeah.
want that they write on it as the
Carbon paper.
carbon paper, yeah.
yeah.
What was it?
Did you address,
What was that stuff?
the rate,
Concrete.
Huh?
longevity
Yeah.
for employees that come in and say they've already?
Yes,
Did
yes.
you address it anywhere in here?
Yeah, longevity for people come in, they have the appropriate experience. I believe
Did you go at 50%?
50%.
Okay,
one half
okay.
to give them.
All
And
right.
yeah, it makes us again. It's all about being competitive in today's market. But yeah, it made sense.
Okay.
Josh and Bill thought about that a lot, and that's what they thought would be appropriate. And
And
I suppose even in utilities, Jeff, you know, that would be.
if they can be specific about that when they're putting their reports together. I don't want any areas of questionable how, depending on how you read it. I mean, we need to really clean up the handbook and make it very specific. So if each one of the departments can do their own,
And they may wanna share those with each other.
well, right, but I just mean each one of the departments can be responsible for what's on paper according to salary ordinance. And that can, if we can, at least have all of that done by the second meeting of December. So sent to the board prior to that for review.
Yeah.
I think December 19th is the meeting, so if it can be presented and approved, so copies can be made and distributed by the first of the year.
You have a copy of it in Word format you can share.
Yep.
On floppy.
That's the Oregon Trail, right?
Yeah. Anyway,
So you want those the second December board meeting?
To the council prior to that to be approved, everything be finalized, so
So
I can
let's,
make copies of that.
this
December 19th.
December 19th. Yeah, that's our
So let's
second.
make it, try and have it due first.
So basically, the sheets that you've been given this evening from Park, all of that needs to be put in form, handbook form.
Well, I appreciate everybody's help and all that. There's a lot of back and forth getting data and figuring out what to do.
I just like to thank you all.
Thank you
This is
all.
a great step in the right direction.
We appreciate you
You're
guys
welcome.
sticking with us till we
Thank you.
got there. Some of you at least.
I'm done.
You're done.
I'm done.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion.
Now's the time to do it. All right.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
I-
Aye.